And welcome inside the Sherwood Park Arena for another episode of the Canalta Hotels AJHL Coaches Show. I'm Dave Dawson, pleased to be joined today by the general manager and the head coach of the Drumheller Dragons, Kevin Hasselburg. Kevin, thanks for joining us today. I'd like to kind of start it off, just a bit of an overview. Who are the 2018-19 Drumheller Dragons?
Number one, we're together. We've got a great dressing room with solid leadership. They've faced the highs and lows as a team together. We're together, we're tough, and we're fast. I think if you want to summarize it up in 3 words, it would be those 3 words.
All right, well, you definitely surprised a lot of people. I know often one game in a regular season doesn't raise a lot of eyebrows, and people talk about this late in the year, and I think you already know where this is going. But if we go back to the opening night of the 2018-19 season and that performance against the Brooks Bandits, an 11-3 win on home ice, were you just as surprised as the rest of Canada with that result?
Well, I think everybody's blowing it way out of proportion, but it was a great night for the organization. And I think over the summer, ownership and management committee, really embraced what our vision and what our mission was going to be as an organization. And that energy translated into the enthusiasm and energy throughout our locker room. It was a shared vision and shared values. And you've seen that energy take off in that first game. And then obviously, it was still fresh that we lost to Brooks in 6 games in the playoffs the season before. And everybody knows Brooks is a host of the Royal Bank Cup Championship this season. And they're a team that's had continued success for many years now. And, when they're at the top, you want to beat the guys at the top. And I'm pretty sure everybody in our organization had that mentality going into that game.
So I guess do we have the Dragons to thank for the Brooks Bandits and their success this year? If that's one way to look at it, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I know Coach Papiano certainly would have gained motivation for his group from that, and they knew they built a very strong hockey team, and you could see that with a minimal amount of changes they made throughout the season.
I've worked with Papiano for quite a while as well, and a lot of respect to how he's constructed that program there. Well, Kevin, you've coached at this level for a number of years, in the SJHL, a brief stint there, but you've been a part of the AJHL for the better part of well over 2 decades, I do believe. How have you watched this caliber of hockey change at this level? And in your eyes and your words, I guess, how does that change how you coach, and what has changed about this Junior A product in the AJHL?
Well, I think a lot of it is just the resources, the technology, social media, media, and the game is so fast, but the world is so fast as well. And information is shared at a rapid pace now. And when I talk about resources, as far as promotional resources, development resources, the technology is speeding up at a rate where even the player development can't keep up to that pace, and you have to change. I don't think we have a choice as coaches. With you adapt what people would call that old school mentality, where it was more of an iron fist, and you can get away with that. Today's game, you can't. You have to be able to find purpose and reasoning for what the players are doing out there, and you have to be consistent with your message. So amongst some many other different things, I mean, I think any one of the 16 coaches in our league today would probably argue that a lot of the coaching, what used to be on the ice and with a hockey stick in your hand, is done now in a classroom setting, and with mental coaches, and now you got skills coaches, and you got position coaches, and you got video coaches, and the game's just evolved so rapidly, and as coaches we have to adapt to that.
I heard it recently said that often in coaching now you need to give the athletes what's in it for them at the end of the lesson of when you're coaching them. Do you find that in your method of coaching as well? Do you need in shaping how players understand your message and how it benefits them?
I think as coaches, we're, as much as we are for sure there to teach skills and develop the ability on the ice and to form good camaraderie and teamwork, to me, I think where coaching is at its purest form is teaching values and bringing out more character in your players. So when they do graduate from junior hockey onto the higher levels, when more individual responsibility is put on the player from their developmental standpoint, that they're prepared for that. And I think players see value in people that care about something bigger than just the hockey player, something bigger than just about winning the game. And, if I think the game would get way too stressful if you're always focused on winning and you're always focused on, just coveting being simply the best and better than your opponent. If I'm making sense at all, I'm sure maybe the viewers are wondering, who is this guy? But you really sit down and you got to really think about what your philosophies are and how you're going to deliver those philosophies. And I think the one thing that I really appreciate and respect a lot about the Drumheller Dragons is we've established our mission, we've established a vision. It's a process. We all respect that. We have shared values and how we want to achieve that. And I think those are the lessons that are going to bring our team together and encourage confidence and the ability to play better as a team when it counts most.
Now, if you can let us in on maybe a bit of what that vision is and what that message is and how you communicate that across and how that's received and how that aligns into how you shape the character and the ethos of this team.
Well, that's a big part of the question, and just to simplify the vision, it's a vision that everybody has, but our vision is to win a national championship. And this is a great year to measure where you are when you have the national host team in your own province, and they've geared up towards accomplishing their vision, which is to win a national championship. But our mission ultimately is we're committed to building community. And, we have a definition of what our community looks like. And it really surrounds empowering everybody in our community to unrealized potential. And we want to do that every shift, every rep, and every game. And when we can do that consistently, we're going to start to build towards our vision. And we're going to establish a team that is going to be capable of winning a national championship. And we feel, we've established that group this year. And every year, we're going to have that same mentality that, we're constructing a team that is going to be capable of winning a national championship. And then it's up to us as a group to deliver.
I did remember seeing you were quite involved in social media as well. I want to ask you a bit about that and how you utilize that in coaching. I did see a tweet that you put out last year that I believe it was Tyler King that said it'll have to be another year until a team from the AJHL again wins the Doyle Cup. And I think you said it'll be us next year. How does your involvement in social media allow you to be a good coach and a good general manager?
I think we're still learning what social media is all about. And at the end of the day, I think everybody looks at social media as a different tool. For us, it's a matter of, I guess, putting it out there who we are and what we're all about as an organization, as individuals. I know for me, you try not to boast about what you're doing as a person, but more so you're trying to celebrate the accomplishments of the people in your organization or the people you care about, whether it's family members or whether it's players you coach or whether it's people that you've passed along during your journey. But I look at social media and I'm always looking for those little success stories that happen throughout there that you can learn from. And certainly you can draw something from to improve yourself or improve your players or, improve your character, whatever the case might be. But it's also, it's a dangerous weapon. I think you really have to throw caution to the wind with regards to how to use social media. Once it's out there, it's out there. And I think if you're true to yourself and you know who you are as a person and as an organization, you're not going to get yourself into trouble.
Now, I understand you talk a lot about inspiration and getting out in the community. And I understand there's kind of a neat story of how you got into the game of hockey and even on the other side of that, how the game of hockey brought you and your wife together. Is there truth to that story? Can you bring us in on what that was?
Yeah, the truth about my wife and I coming together, hockey has been in our family since day one. So just a quick story, I guess, without getting too crazy. A gentleman by the name of Tom Grove and Gordon Grove, the Groves family, very big community people. I'll throw Gary Weimeyer into the mix too, and God rest his soul. But these were significant members in the community of Dutchess, Alberta, and we grew up on a ranch just north of Dutchess, about 6 miles north. And hockey wasn't in our DNA at the time, and mom and dad were extremely hard workers in the ranching and cattle business. So all we knew was what the farm life was about and what the ranch life was about, and I think the community, I might have had 8 or 9 kids that age that could play, and Tommy reached out and Gordy reached out and said, "Why don't we get these kids into hockey?" And the rest is history. And I think the significance of that story, we still stay in contact with the Groves family every single year. They're still in the Brooks and Dutchess communities, but Tom and I established a really good relationship, and he ended up scouting for us in Olds, and we still, he's traveling south into the Phoenix area every winter now. So our contact isn't maybe as much a handshake as it is a text message or a phone call, but you never forget those people that contribute to who you are as a person and the character that you bring to the game of hockey. And Tom Grove is, and the Groves family are people that will forever be a part of our journey, and people that we're going to be extremely grateful for and thankful for. And then obviously, through the journey of hockey and where hockey's taken. My wife grew up in Brooks and went to high school in Brooks, and it was just a matter of right place, right time, and away it goes, right? So we've been high school sweethearts since I've been 13 years old. She's here today. We traveled together, and we've been apart for 3 years because of hockey, living in different communities for job purpose and job reasons. So she's the rock in our relationship, and I couldn't be where I am today without her.
So there's hope out there if you're single that the perfect match can come along. But so we're getting to know who Kevin Hasselburg, the general manager, and the coach is. A number of you out there may already know that. Who is Kevin Hasselburg, the father? I understand you're a father as well, and the husband. What are some of the hobbies and the things that he's involved in outside of the game of hockey?
Yeah, that's
Or are there any?
Yeah, hockey's consuming, and anybody that tells you, and anybody else that's a coach, and they say your challenge is to find work and personal life balance. I think when you look back at your journey as a hockey coach, we were a hockey family. And we lived and grew up at the rink. So your balance when the kids were younger and battling through the tyke and novice and Adam and Pee Wee age groups was, you dropped what you're doing as a junior coach, and you made sure you shut that off, and then you got right into it as a parent or a coach. And I'm proud to say that I had the opportunity to coach both of my kids through minor hockey, and I'm proud to say that we met some amazing people along that way that influenced our kids and influenced our family through the game of hockey. And it's challenging. I was so fortunate as a young kid growing up is that I was in Dutchess from grade 1 till 12. I didn't move, and my kids have a different story. They started in Didsbury, Alberta. They spent a year in Port Alberni, British Columbia, and did school there, and then transferred to North Battleford, and that's where my son finished his education. So, their journey is so much different than what ours are, and all the credit in parenting in our family has to go to my wife, and she's a big part of who our kids are today, and what she's taught me, and then obviously my parents as well, is the importance of family. Family is everything. When at the end of the day, this is just a game. It's just a job, and I think it's the values of family, and just that, deep caring of people that make us better coaches. And for me personally, that clearly came from my parents and my wife. And I wouldn't be the coach today without them. But, I'd like to say that most of my time was chasing the kids around the rink. And then obviously my son got into winter sports, snowboarding, dance, music. Music was a big part of my kids' lives, and I thoroughly enjoyed going to the concerts and the dances and watching my kids perform. There's nothing more proud than seeing them up on a stage by themselves under extreme amounts of pressure and nailing a move or hitting a note, or and I'm sure my parents said the same thing about me when I was playing. So it's capturing those moments, and I think as people, we have to reflect and draw on those moments more so to remember who we are in times of adversity, and certainly your family is your rock when it comes to that.
Sounds like the kind of coach that everybody wants to play for. I know that I probably could have used one of those in my day. But Kevin, I'll just ask you this one last question, I guess, about Drumheller. I've been there a couple of times myself. Now, with that message, how do you take that, translate that into the community, get that into the players who are getting involved in the community? How does that message translate into the game of hockey and to Junior A in Drumheller?
Well, the first and foremost, it's a privilege. And I think all of us understand that. And I'm speaking for all 16 coaches. It's a privilege to play this game, and it's a privilege to be in another community where we have an opportunity to play the game we love. And so long as we have that mentality, we have that attitude going into those communities, and we'll always give back. You know, the second that you feel that the entitlement of self-belonging and that people owe it to you, then, you know, we're in the game for the wrong reasons. So, you know, when it's truly put to the test, you know, that we believe when we're giving back to our community and we're investing in our community, you're going to see those results in your stands. And I don't care what junior community it is, you know, there's always energy, enthusiasm, and support to players that care about what they're doing, care about the people that they're playing for, and are able to put themselves aside and reflect what that community is. And every community is different, whether I'm coaching in Olds or Port Alberni or Pensacola, Florida, or Drumheller. You know, you have to know what the identity of the community is first and foremost, and then draw that as inspiration into who you are as a hockey team. And I really believe that, you know, the ownership group and the management committee have done that in Drumheller, and as a staff, we've embraced that as well. The players have embraced that, and we're proud to say that, you know, we're getting over 1,000 people on a nightly basis, and it's, you know, it's because it's a privilege, and it's because we look at it as a privilege, and we're so thankful for the opportunity to be playing hockey in Drumheller.
Well, it's been a privilege to sit down and chat with you, and I hope you feel the same as well at home. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us today, and best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you, Dave.
And thank you for joining us in this episode of the Canalta Hotels AJHL Coaches Show. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time.